In the quiet where words can barely speak, he stands strong, never weak, not a lawyer, but he's braved the fight, turning truth into a quiet. He's a builder with no plans in sight, grafting dreams in the softest light. In the stillness where the world finds rest, Reggie dreams with the heart so blessed. He's the calm and the raging storm, a gentle power breaking the norm, with every step, every fight.
Greetings all. It's been a minute since I made a video, but this one's going to be different. It's going to be about my trials and travails with the SEC and the ramifications and fallout from that. One quick legal note, I am not going to discuss whether I admit or deny any of the allegations in the SEC complaint. What I am going to discuss is research that was performed by the VERI Tokebolder community. It's called the dossier, or fraud on the court. And it's interesting. It's going to be a bunch of small videos, and I'm going to have bit by bit instead of one long video. Okay? And the first one, again, not even discussing whether I admit or deny any of the allegations. Okay? Not discussing whether I illegally sold securities or committed fraud, etc., etc. It will be about the SEC and how they behaved when dealing in the SEC v. Middleton Veritaseum et al. Case. Okay? First of all, the collection of witnesses, and this again is sourced from research done by the VERI Tokebolder community. This will probably blow your mind.
Fast forward to 2019. I got a telephone call from Jorge Tenreiro, and it was on my personal cell phone. And so I couldn't understand how, a prosecutor for the Securities and Exchange Commission got my cell phone, my personal cell phone. But I can only ascertain that he downloaded the email records between Reggie and myself and then got my personal cell phone number. So he called me up and I didn't answer, and I listened to his message. And he had quite a long message about what he was doing. He said he was in the initial stages of prosecuting or investigating Reggie Middleton and the Veritaseum platform for securities fraud, for selling unregistered securities. So I decided to call him back. And when I called him back, he answered immediately. He gave me his personal line at the office. And we had about a 40-minute conversation. And I'm familiar. I'm an entrepreneur and a businessman. I've run several successful businesses, so I'm familiar with the way that prosecutors are supposed to go about their business. And they're really supposed to ask questions and not make statements. In other words, if you're a prosecutor and you have a suspicion that certain people are breaking the law, then you're supposed to ask questions of witnesses that lead to the conclusion that they are breaking the law. But Jorge took a very unusual stance, a very aggressive stance when he called me. There were several times during the conversation that he made very strong statements against Mr. Middleton. For example, there were several times during the conversation where he said, "You have been defrauded, and let me tell you why." And then he would go on and make the, case that I was defrauded. And so I got to the point where I just stopped him in his tracks on the defrauded thing. I said, "Listen, I'm not defrauded." I said, first of all, I'm a businessman, and I signed a disclosure statement when I exchanged value for the Veritaseum tokens, stating that I knew that they were utility tokens, which gave me access to the Veritaseum platform. So getting back to the conversation with Jorge, he tried to get me to become a witness for the SEC. Again, at the very end of the conversation, he described the prosecution that they're going to unfold against Reggie. And he said that, again, he tried one more time. I think he tried 3 times to convince me that I'd been defrauded. And then he made a plea to me to be a witness for the SEC against Mr. Middleton. And I told him that I had no interest in being a witness against Mr. Middleton. I told him that I thought he was wasting taxpayer money and effort of a regulatory body going after somebody that was innocent of the charges that he was alleging.
And what did he say to you when you said that? What did he say?
Jorge was really aggressive, but I think he knew that he was beating his head against a brick wall. And so he really kind of tailed off at the end and said, okay, thank you for your time. He really didn't. He made one big last push during our phone call, and then it ended there.
So I can
Okay.
assist. Sorry,
Go ahead, yeah.
for interrupting. Perhaps I can assist there because of the fact that I've been doing the complaint and the dossier. I've had the opportunity of communicating with at least 2, probably 3 now, potential witnesses, one of whom is extremely afraid to come forward because of the intimidating and aggressive tactics that were used against him during the course of the SEC's investigations. So I haven't pressed him for an actual affidavit as such. There's a couple of others that may well be prepared to step forward, but I'm sure there's many others that are just too afraid to step forward and speak their minds.
Why are they so fearful? Why did the SEC make them so fearful that they are afraid to talk?